3 must-dos on your next Central Florida real estate flip, according to Jesse Rottinghaus. Number 1, pool. Number 2, a modern, open, functional floor plan. And number 3, stick around to the end of the episode to get number 3 from Jesse, top producer and co-founding broker of Compass Orlando. Also get a Central Florida market real estate update. Let's jump in. As promised, we've got Jesse Rottinghaus from Compass Group, Compass Realty? Compass, just Compass. If you don't know Compass, they are kind of like a really cool marketing-driven...
number one brokerage in the nation.
Number one brokerage in the nation. Who did you knock off? That's new, isn't it?
Everyone.
Well, that's what happens when you're number one. Cool. So also Jesse, aside from just being a kick-ass realtor, is also an investor himself. So he's got a ton of insight into the real estate fix and flip game. He's also a capital fundings borrower, which we like. And I've known him for a long time, as you can tell by all the gray hairs on our head. We go way back. But anyways, I wanted to bring on Jesse and kind of go over the current market so he could share all his insight with you guys and hopefully make our deals more profitable and better off for everybody. So without any other blah, 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 here's Jesse.
What's up? Thank you for having me, man.
You're looking good.
I know, right?
I got to get a blazer, dude.
I don't even know what else to say when I don't. With the yeah, no, it's, I actually was showing some properties today, funny enough.
Okay.
Then they're Isleworth residents, and we were looking at some high-end condos, townhomes in downtown Winter Park. So it was blazer worthy, and had a little brunch at the Briar Patch.
Oh, wow.
Blast from the past.
That's a throwback.
They have amazing scrambled eggs. They're buttery. So yeah, it was cool taking a look at some of these properties that are all, 1.5 to 2 million, like condos. I had blazer up.
Well, cool. Sounds like definitely a worthy blazer experience. So just give everyone, I don't know if everyone knows of Compass, and kind of, I know you've been there several years. I've been to your office. So maybe almost 6. Wow.
6 years at Compass.
That's right. You were the founding agent in Orlando, weren't you? Founding broker.
So they expanded from Miami to Orlando. At first, Miami was their hub. They ended up with 1 office, then 2, then 3. Then they expanded out to Naples. And then we were basically here in Orlando as what's called an anywhere agent. So they, technically were a brokerage, but we were in shared workspace. And then we ran, I did that for almost 2 years, 1.5 years minimum, before they finally decided to plant a flag. 2 flags in Orlando, one in Orlando and one in Winter Park, up Morse. And then started growing it out, and it's been insane. We have hundreds of agents. The Compass brand is incredible. It's a tech-driven company that focuses on, the best solutions for their agents, which in turn get passed down to the agents' customers. It's a publicly traded company. It's just an unbelievable company. And being in real estate for 25 years is absolutely, hands down, bar none, the best real estate organization I've ever even known, let alone been with. So no one else compares.
I won't say it, but better than like a Home Pro or something even?
Yeah, Compass and I know there's others out there like Real. There's newer sort of the XT model that's growing crazy. It's huge, but whatever, to each their own.
Yeah.
Everybody drinks their own Kool-Aid. We just drink tequila. So.
Ooh, that's like a comedy saying, I guess. Well, cool. I know you've talked really highly ever since you've been there, and you've been staying with it. So that's awesome. So just tell a little bit to everybody, like, where as an agent, like, are you specializing in Winter Park? Are you all over the place? Or is your price point, does it matter? Just so you can kind of give everyone like an idea of like your experience and how it maybe relates to them, your expertise,
Actually, it's a great question because The old school way of, I don't want to say old school, a regular or a very well-known way of marketing is like farming.
Farming, yeah.
Farming. What's your farm? And I'll say that asking someone what the farm is a little bit more antiquated, but at the end of the day, there are people that still farm specifically.
Yeah.
I do some specialized stuff in a couple different neighborhoods. Right now at Baldwin Park, there's a neighborhood, a couple neighborhoods in Osborne Springs, one in Castleberry, and then College Park as well. So I just tend to do a little bit more in those, like a little bit more from the mailer's perspective, a little bit more video centric. However, I work all over the place. And the reason why is because, number one, I renovate houses and wherever I can find really good deals. So within an hour, plus radius right there,
Right.
I'm renovating houses. That being said, there's signs that are placed there. Sometimes you get calls. And not only that, with Compass, it's a very large referral network. So that referral network, we get stuff all over the place. We get agents that come in from anywhere. And they have someone that needs to sell a house in Deltona or whatever. And I mean, look, the skill set is what it is, and I'm able to, help them wherever these houses are.
Yeah, I know. Doing loans with you, you've got Volusia County, Brevard, Castleberry, Orange County, Seminole County, maybe some Osceola from what I remember. But, you definitely go all over the place. And I just kind of want to let people know, like, hey, you're not just like a Winter Park guy, that you've got really good knowledge in all the markets, because what we're trying to do is get information for all of our borrowers so they can get an idea of what's working out there. And I think probably there's no one better than you, because you're on both sides. You're a realtor and you're an investor, so you're seeing all of it.
Yeah, I mean, thanks. I mean, I think so for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple feathers in the cap or more gray hairs in the head. But, it's funny because our MLS is, I don't even know what the circumference is or how many counties
Right.
are. But we're like
It's changing.
6 counties than our MLS. No, but I'm just talking about what our MLS covers as far as like,
Yeah. Yeah.
here in Orlando, where I talk to agents all over the U.S., and you go to some places and they're so like they work up a market within like 2-3 miles because it's, subways or it's Uber cars or black cars. You know what I mean? It's not like get in the car and drive, because it could take 45 minutes to go 5 miles, whereas for us, you hop in the car and within, 60 miles in 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I gotcha.
And on MLS covers there. So I think a lot of people don't, like, to give an exact example, if someone asks you, hey, can you do, a house in New Smyrna Beach, right? Which is an hour and 10 minutes from us. Well, because it's the same MLS, I know how to value property.
Mm-hmm.
And I would argue that the approach that I take for valuing a property is even better than an appraiser, because I understand the market better.
Yeah, I just had this conversation today and yesterday to 2 separate people. So I agree, and I know where you're coming from, because I saw an appraisal from a real appraiser 2 days ago, and it sucked.
Yeah. So, that argument's there where someone might be like, oh, well, you don't work my market. I'm like, well, I have sold, let's say, in your market, but my expertise, I can sell in any market that I have access to.
Well, I know you've done houses recently from like a $250 price point after renovations all the way up to, I think you're doing one we were just talking about for $525 to $550. And you've got that Metro West that's over $1 million, and you've got other things too. The Lake Mary house or Lake Nona house, that's like a lot of money as well too. So yeah, so you kind of cover from all price points in all areas. That's a lot of you must have good crews. I know we were talking about that. Wayne was asking how do you get your crews to go out there? Because that's a challenge,
Yeah, I mean, it's not really like 1 or 2 crews. It's multiple different vendors, and
yeah.
No, I mean, some of them chase the work just like we'll chase the houses.
Yeah.
And everything, I mean, obviously everything we're talking about is within 60 minutes. And we're a driving city. Like, you get in the car and you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we barely have any traffic for the most part. So at least people can factor that into their, their numbers and stuff. But yeah, it is very nice to potentially have people and, within an hour and 20-minute radius. That's always nice.
So what I thought we'd do is, obviously Aura puts out their state of the market. I don't know if you broadcast it on any of your channels or podcast or digital content, but, I thought, it's probably useful for our local borrowers to figure out what's really going on instead of just thinking, the market's hot or the market's not, or maybe to have a little bit of data behind it. So I thought you and I could kind of just scroll through the latest April state of the market results, and then maybe you may have some insight as to why these numbers are this, or, how you can get on the good side of the numbers, as in the closings versus the active for sale inventory. So what I'm going to do real quick is share our screen. So you can see it, right, Jesse? Yep. All right. I think we're recording too. So here's Aura. They put this out every month, and, it's obviously changed a lot in the last year and a half, 2 years, I would say. As you can see just from the beginning, if you're looking at year over year or month to month, either way, the inventory is kind of insane compared to what it used to be. Do you have any insight on that? Is that worrying you as it continues to grow? Well, inventory year over year up 82%. Now that includes everything: single family, condos, townhomes.
So to me, the answer is yes and no.
Yeah.
And look, anytime those indicators where there's let me just say no, actually, and I'll tell you why. So the reason why it doesn't bother me is that because seeing inventory grow is a good thing, right? For us, having supply is a good thing. Now, in conjunction with the rates and where they've been, and people been kind of worried and seeing them. Look, rates, hovered into the 7s and have now just creeped below the 7.
Mm-hmm.
The rates are what they are, and people are going to start moving and understanding that these rates are not going to fluctuate the way they have in the past. But the real issue, I think, with regards to the increase, that substantial of an increase, is what I talk about a lot on any show or whatever, is we have a predominant amount of untradeable homes. And what I mean by that, they're uninsurable, they're aspirationally priced, they've got bad real estate consultants trying to help them sell a house. It's in what I mean by aspirationally priced is in a market where maybe their house is worth $400, they're asking $475.
Mm-hmm.
It needs $50,000 for the renovation.
Right.
When you have agents that will take deals and work with sellers and say yes rather than saying no, or giving them true good consult and just saying, hey, yeah, you want to put it up here? It's almost like they're deferring their professionalism or their consult to the seller and just become yes people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like we have, with all the insurance changes that have taken place in Florida, we're in the middle of a perfect storm. And to me, it's not that bad because, quite frankly, this number doesn't scare me because a couple reasons. Number one, when I have buyers that are looking for properties, they're going to pay a premium on a premium property. Everyone's going to pay a premium on a premium property. Buyers want the best, and they're willing to wait for it, right? Or pay more for it. So I'm not worried about that. Now, there's buyers that are interested in getting a value add, is what I call it. So the bulk of the inventory are value add properties because, number one, if they're uninsurable, well, you can't even buy it, technically. So you're going to have to do some work. That means that the price gets decreased. That's why we're seeing as much as 10% discounts on list to sale price.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you had, that number might even be in, but
I've definitely seen more loans come across my desk that are from MLS and not necessarily off market. And I think it's because there has been kind of like a logjam of these unexpected or expectations that are just unrealistic. And that maybe people are finally like, all right, okay, it's not like your example worth 475, it's worth 400. And then you see that big drop. And if you have a good wholesaler out there, they're making the offer regardless, even if it's insulting, and maybe they're getting some of them, you know?
Dude, the neighborhood that we were just talking about off camera, in the sense that we were in Altamont Springs in that Oak Crest neighborhood. Spring Oaks is the real neighborhood name, but that one of those cool homes that I was talking to you about at 430 is an open door listing with aluminum wiring.
Yeah.
Like it can't even, you
couldn't pass it.
can buy it.
Yeah.
Can buy it, and it's not even insurable, and it's an open door listing. So you want to talk about a conglomerate, right? That be like omnipotent in a sense, and it's garbage.
Well, they're just getting rid of their stuff. They're getting rid of their stuff that they don't want to have to put too much more capital into.
And of course, that's a different thing, right? It's not a normal seller. Like, they can hold it for a long time, but that discount is gonna be 5 to 10% on that house at $430,000. Like, it just because an investor has to buy it.
Yeah. So when we come off inventory, you start getting to other numbers, and it kind of paints a different picture. You're like, all right, new listings year over year are up a little, but month to month, pretty consistent. And then new contracts, falling in line, pretty consistent year over year, month over month. And then pendings as well, pretty consistent, So it's like, hey, stuff's still moving. We just have more stuff on the market. And how much of that number on the market is what you and I would kind of call garbage, or just overpriced properties that aren't even renovated, that may have no chance of moving.
Yeah.
So, and you also see it too with the median price. It's been pretty consistent, 375 to 385 the last several months. So I guess, compared to other cities, not too much, is not too high on the median price, still somewhat reasonable, but I think it's starting to, like, once that thing gets over 400, and if rates stay the same, you're probably starting to have a little bit of an affordability issue for the median buyer here in Orlando.
Well, I think we have an affordability issue regardless.
You do?
Yeah, totally. I mean, because you can't, it's just, even townhomes now are close to the price point, and they have HOAs and other fees and stuff. And it's just, Orlando is growing so fast, as you already know. We're top 10 city in the nation for real estate for growth, but we're in the bottom 10 for annual salaries. So it just, you can't sustain.
Right. Something's got to come up, right?
Can't, like, it's gonna have to find a fulcrum point, like level off at some point. But
well, that
I just don't think these numbers. I get it, it's like that 80% change in inventory is insane, but I feel like you've got people getting uninsured letters, like they're getting letters in the mail saying, hey, how's not insurable anymore.
It was also kind of necessary because it was artificially low for a while as well too. So, looking back at 2003, that's not the right number, 5,000. It probably should have been higher than that, but there was just nothing going around. But, months of supply up to 3.4, so these are all kind of like 54 days on the market. I know, like, historically that's kind of in line with average, so like we're coming back to maybe more of like the average market, and that kind of
funny, like, and I agree with you. Look at 3.5 months worth of supply. You remember what it was like? We put houses on the market, and you're having conversations with your sellers in day 60 and day 90. Hey, we got to lower the price. And now, because of what's happened, because of COVID and all this other craziness in the market, the listings I have, my seller is texting me 1 minute after they leave because they can see them leave on their Ring doorbell.
Yeah, everything's there. Yeah,
like, you got to let them. That's the houses for today.
Yeah, it's like the social media age, where nobody has any patience anymore.
But that expectation right now is, why isn't it selling immediately? And I guess, again, that goes to the consultant. Obviously, I'm not putting people in those positions of saying like, hey, we're going to sell immediately. You've got to have an expectation of 45 to 60 days on the market, which, by the way, looking at the year over year, I mean, it's, look, it's 54 days on the market.
Right. Are you seeing like the out-of-staters? I know that you dealt with that a lot at Compass in the past year and a half as we've talked. Like, you've gotten leads from people that are moving here that are buying cash, and are you still seeing those buyers coming in, whether it's cash or financing? Are you still seeing them on that same level that you were maybe a year ago?
We're definitely, Florida's a massive feeder market to many markets.
Mm-hmm.
But incoming feeder. But I'm working with, a few out of states. I just have one from Vegas, one from Nashville, one from New York, and there's probably some others. One from Texas. It's a pretty steady flow of out of state to in-state.
Okay, so I know we've also talked about this, but maybe I think that's good for the numbers. I definitely would love to stay in touch and keep you on, to kind of go over these numbers every month and share what you're seeing. As far as renovated properties go, this is what we're here for. I'm talking to our borrowers, our potential real estate investors in Central Florida, so what makes a property sell? You're an investor, you renovate 4 or 5 houses at a time sometimes, so tell me, like, what are you seeing that helps it move quicker than that average of 52 or 54 days? And then maybe add some insight as to your thoughts on, all of our borrowers, especially, we're in like the resale range of like on average 360 to 375 for our borrowers. So, price, margins are thin sometimes. Like, maybe you can also add your thoughts on using an agent to help move your property, and how does that offset the costs? So let's first start with, what are you seeing on the investment side, and what are you seeing on the realtor side that helps a renovated property sell its quickest? You can give me multiple too. You were just talking about a good one.
If you're not using an agent, you need to use an agent.
Well, we'll get there.
But the renovated properties themselves, the buyers are holding out for quality. And if I think that it's tough. It depends on the market, right? Like, I just did one in a 55 and up community, and I renovated it like I would renovate any other home. Well, the problem is that was an over improvement, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because in this 55 and up community, if it was a luxury minus / luxury plus community, like the Villages, it would have been fine. But it was a, $150,000 purchase of a $250,000 ARV, right?
Yeah.
Sales price.
More like builder grade renovation.
Like, that one didn't need to spend, let's say, I'm using an arbitrary number, it didn't need 30,000, it only needed 20.
Yeah.
And why that's a miss is because now that it got to the market and it's sitting a little bit longer.
Because you're priced higher.
Yeah, like we're priced good. It's just, that is a slight over improvement. And it's not like, in other words, we didn't have to use white shaker cabinets and quartz countertops, right? And redo the bathrooms. We could have just left the bathrooms, painted the cabinet.
Yeah, but so,
and seal your granite on there. We didn't have to put LVT in or something. Like, it just would have been.
I get that.
Just learning experience.
Yeah. So I get that, but like, a lot of our borrowers are in Deltona, that are reselling at 300 to 350. A lot of our borrowers are in Castleberry, or maybe like Pine Hills, or a 32811, or 32806, East Orlando, Conway area. So where, like, what are you seeing there? Like, because there you got to be renovated.
Yeah. So one of the questions you asked me on a property that I had sent over for Winter Park, And I was like, oh, the renovation is going to be 80. And you were like, 80?
Yeah.
Because it was, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. And the reason why is I'd rather overcompensate for the renovation on a potential necessary basis and not have to use it, or maybe, we didn't have to go that high and there's, more reserves or whatever. But I just think any of those neighborhoods that you're talking about, I think the investor in general is looking for an opportunity to do as least amount as possible to make the most, right?
Well, my question is, does that theory work anymore? I know it used to work great. We both know people that did that and made a lot more money than we made on renovations. But does that approach really work anymore?
I think you can get away with it on some aesthetics, but like logistics, which are insurable issues, I don't think you can cut the corners.
Gotcha.
Just not a movable house. Like,
yeah.
Now cast irons start to pop up more, and that's a big deal over in the
beaches. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I know that personally.
It's just, so for us, for investors, right?
Right.
Investors buy deals, usually sight unseen almost nowadays.
Yeah.
So fast, and you're buying them from wholesalers and you get no inspection. So if you're not calculating for the miscellaneous on the higher end, a pool leak, a full resurface, that's...
Yeah, $5,000 at a deal,
Or let's say it has cast in it, you got to cut the whole slab and rerun. That's another $10,000. These things are not things that we factor into a $40,000 renovation.
Yeah.
Sudden you're 75 hard and you're like, oh my God, am I going to get this out? And I think that's what's happening on a lot of these. And I think a lot of investors are cutting their prices. They think, oh, well, we need to aspirationally price so I can get money out. But you're like, dude, just move it.
Yeah.
Get rid of the house. Like, if you lose 10 and it's against, the 20 you made,
right,
you only made 10.
Yeah.
Then
and you took an extra couple months to uncover the problem, because usually that stuff's like, hey, you failed your inspection, that buyer's out, and now you're 2 months behind, at least.
Still at holding cost.
Yeah, the holding costs, taxes, insurance, everything.
Just cut this and run. Let's just cut this and get to the number as fast as possible. But I don't know. I think that, for the most part, most renovators the other challenging thing is they're finding that labor's more expensive. Product is more expensive. So they're going out trying to find the trunk popper, the Sunday worker. And trying to find cheap labor, which then ends up being cheap work. And it's all a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. I was involved, you're just in on a deal, and the house looked great, everything looked great, but even in the pictures on the listing, the windows and the sliders were just horrible, and most people will look past that. But anything else about the house, and we're talking a nice house on a nice lot in Seminole County with a pool and a back porch, it was a 4.2 actually. So the perfect house, right, for $450. And tons of showings, but no offers. And so you definitely sat on the market an extra month, and you're probably getting, between insurance, taxes, and interest, you're probably getting each month is maybe windows, or each month is sliders. You know what I'm saying? So if you budgeted that in the beginning and said, I'm just going to do it, you probably have that. Now you have the perfectly renovated house and nobody has any negative comments or opposition to it.
Yeah. The bummer part is
I know it's when do you say when, but.
Well, the other thing is that investors are the ones that are keeping, we're chasing the market and we're keeping the market going.
Yeah.
I say that because an investor, let's say that example you're talking about, let's say we go, you know what, we got to do it. Let's go beyond our budget, which let's say was 40 grand, and we're going to go in 55. And we're going to do the windows and the sliders, and we're going to do this right. And then you go to the market, you get multiple offers, or you get a really strong offer, and it's at 450 grand. Well, guess what happens? The next house that comes on the market is 470.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the market will figure itself out. I'm just trying to look at like
you're chasing, like you're making the market and you're chasing it.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to like, what are ways that you don't get stuck on this, because the other big one I'm seeing, and I'm pointing this out to people as they like, hey, someone came to me the other day. You may have seen the deal being offered out there, and somebody wanted to buy, and they're like, it's a 3-2, and it's 760 square feet, and I'm like, yeah, like. That's a terrible master bedroom. Like, I don't even think I would, like, my answer would be no right there as an investor. So like what I'm seeing that's big is floor plan and kind of modernizing the layout, or opening up your kitchen, or just deleting unnecessary walls or angles or arches or just crap like that. That's so outdated. You can renovate a house and then you leave it dated, and then you're like, oh man, I didn't get the action I wanted on it because it's still dated. Or you get a ton of showings and like that one bedroom was super awkwardly like 8x10, and you could have adjusted to it during your renovation, but you didn't. So like what I'm seeing is definitely floor plan, and this is something you handle right at the beginning of your renovation in the demo stage. If there needs to be changes to your floor plan, do them right at demo, because they'll come back to haunt you when you list it.
Yeah, we're in the middle of that one right now as well out in Edgewater. It was, it's a 3, 1.5, but and look, we're blowing it out. We're making 2 nice bathrooms, and it's not going to take much of the kitchen. But I agree with you. I think the functionality. Like the aesthetics are one thing, but the functionality has to make sense, right?
Yeah, the aesthetics, like over time, they all become the same. Everyone's got your white cabinets and your quartz countertops and your whatever stainless steel, and now everyone's got the island that's blue or gray. You know what I'm saying? Like 2-colored, right? And then but whatever. But like half the renovations you see on the market, they're all white, and they got the thick base and white walls and light, gray, the flooring. So like over time, everything kind of becomes the same as the interior. So like if you're really not differentiating yourself with a good floor plan, or, you have this great, nice build out, but you've got a slider that doesn't open, like.
Yeah, I think that when it goes into the analysis for an investor is, I've seen investors choose just a bad house, a bad location, because they thought the numbers were there.
Yes.
And when they do a decent renovation to it, it's not enough. And you're sitting on it because it's a funky layout, it's a funky house, it's a funky location. Like, I feel as though, and you've heard me say this many times, you say no more than you say yes, right?
That's a good thing.
I want to say yes all the damn time.
You say yes a lot, more than most people I know.
Ton of money, I want to borrow all.
You say yes. I was like, just if there's anyone that's never met a deal they don't like, it's just, yeah.
It's an honest truth. I love every deal.
I know.
The problem is that not every deal
is a deal.
Is a good deal.
Right.
So, sure, the numbers might look good, but if like, I just got one today and it's in Casper, I'm like, oh, that looks good. But then you take a little bit deeper look at, the numbers were decent. And then, so you go into your next dive mode on sniff test, and it's got like a enclosed half-car garage, and it's side load, and it's all like just wonky.
Every wholesaler deals enclosed garage for the square footage.
I don't want that. I listen, I would take that.
Yeah.
And not at that number.
Yeah.
The wholesalers are just, dude, they're making money hand over fist. They really are, because the lack of investor inventory and the amount of new investors coming to the market, the people are scooping these things up.
Yeah.
And someone who makes money, maybe they won't. I have no idea. Maybe they're using their own money, and maybe they will make profit. Give them that. I just look at it, and I'm more picky, like you were saying, with regards to the house. I want it to be in a good neighborhood, or for the most part. I want to see the vision, how it would flow if I were going in there, if I were going to move into it, or how would I use this property? And yeah, I mean, that's, and it's harder because what you said, this year is the first time I've ever done any renovation over 500 grand.
Oh my.
3 of them. So, and the reason I've been hesitant about it is because of money. But because money is available and you can factor that in, I do think the premium properties, and what I mean by premium is when you dump a really good premium into a higher end property.
Yeah.
I still feel like there are buyers for that.
Yeah. That's actually a very hot market.
Yeah, the $1 million houses don't necessarily move faster, but if they're renovated and done really well, people want those premiums. You talked about it earlier.
The gap is like 600 to a million, and after that it starts taking off. But that 600 to a million is a little slower in Orlando. But after that, it is like super fast. So real quick, let's, we have our investor who's trying to make a profit, as we all are, and they're factoring in closing cost when they buy it, when they sell it. So closing cost, using a realtor like yourself, and then obviously listing on MLS, regardless of whatever the new commission rules are, what are they looking at as far as a percentage to sell the property?
I mean, they should be calculating 5 to 6%.
5 to 6% still, right? Okay. Yeah.
A pipeline with rules.
I don't think the rules are going to change anything. So
yeah, the rules, I understand it. And it's great to have guidelines, or, I mean, I understand it and that's cool. And yes, we know everything is negotiable. However, investors of all people know if they pull that buyer's commission out and make a buyer pay for it, a majority of the buyers in this market around the average, the median price point, they need it.
They need it. Yeah.
They need the buyer representative. They need closing costs.
Yeah. Well, it's an extra 2 to 3%.
If you start pulling that out and you want the higher number, you're going to have major problems on your hand, because we haven't even gotten to the mark of appraisals. And that's coming next after this July thing with the whole, commission thing. Wait till appraisers start saying, oh, I have to factor in the 3% commission then you added on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, you want 3% concessions on these?
Yeah.
Seller paid closing costs?
Yeah.
Top of the price you want?
It's going to be tough to get there.
6%. How the heck is the appraiser going to find it if they can barely find the price in the first place? See, if I mean, like, it's just going to be an absolute mess.
So
definitely offer commission.
So why should someone use a Compass or a Jesse Rottinghaus to sell their property? Because a lot of people think, I got a nice property, I'll just list it out there, it'll sell itself. So what are you adding to the equation?
Well, we used to be able to offer a Compass concierge for investors, but we really can't anymore because they don't allow flippers and they don't allow.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, the program's there, and it's usable in your private name, like your.
Gotcha. So if you're selling your house, you could borrow money from Compass to make some repairs.
Up to about $25,000, we give it to you at a very low rate.
That's cool.
Low rate, and they pay back at closing, so it's all deferred. But beyond that, the way, to me, it starts with the consultation, right? Like the valuation and understanding what money is invested in a house, right? Dollar in, dollar out. Like, how are we doing that? 1 in, 2 out, 1 in, 3 out. Like, what do you invest in a little bit more? I think having an agent like myself, of course, who actually has working knowledge,
right,
to their own houses and renovates their own homes, understanding that, knowing how much things cost. And if someone said to me, oh, well, I don't want to put a new AC in because it costs 10 grand. Oh, well, wait a minute, I have a better contact, it'll cost you 5.
I've used your vendors. You've saved me multiple times. So I realize that.
But that's the savings. It's a wealth of knowledge to have that better list. Also, again, going back to the valuation, I can't stress it enough of taking the approach that I take with deviations in it and percentages on likely to sell, on pricing strategies. I mean, I've told people then this rarely happens, by the way, but I'll use one example. I told a person where they needed to list their house at to sell it. And this is like, I'm guessing now 8 months ago or something. They're from New York. And I said, listen, you've got to put your price, you got to put your house at $395. Oh, we want $430. And I'm like, look, I'm telling you that won't work. But if the strategy is you want to try $430 and then we drop it 15 and then we drop it 15, but you've got to be able to listen to anything that comes in. Well, sure enough, we got multiple showings first week, and we had an offer at $399. And I was like, you got to take this. You got to take this. You got to take this deal. It's a really good buy.
Yeah.
It's a good deal for you. Nope, we're not budging on the price. Okay. Well, they didn't like what I was doing, so they fired me. Again, very rare. Maybe happened twice in 20 years. And I was like, hey, no problem. Let me get out of the way. If you guys think I'm the issue, I'm out, right? They're still sitting on that house.
At $430?
No. Now they're down to $369,000.
Mark always says the first offer is the best. Take it.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is they didn't listen to my valuation. And by the way, my valuation is a whole document that I sent to them.
Yeah.
That projected that they would sell the house between $389 and $399. And it was dated and everything. And they didn't listen to me. And it's still on the market now at like $369.
We deal with a lot of new borrowers, new investors to the game. So, I mean, in all honesty, like, do you have the time as a realtor if a new investor watching this was like, hey man, I like that. Like Jesse's going to be part of my team on the beginning, on the front end of me buying a house. Now, I'm not saying they're going to reach out to you to vet every single deal they have, but maybe as they were going through the renovation, do you like starting it? Like they've put it under contract and they're closing it? Like, is that something that you've done for your realtors? We're like, hey, let me go check it out before you renovate it. And now, you enter a listing agreement or something like that,
Yeah. No, the answer is yeah.
And then you give your insight like, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. Because a lot of people come to me and they're like, yeah, we need direction. We've only done one. Or maybe they started off with like a paint and carpet condo and now they're jumping up to a single family with a pool, like a different investment.
The answer is yes. But here's where the rub is. It's at the very beginning, to me, because as I said, I will say no more than I say yes, because when I crunch the numbers, my numbers are like usually pretty substantial to make sure that it's factoring in shit, right?
Yeah.
So when you have an investor that's hot to trot, they're ready, and they're like, they have access to capital through capital fundings, and they're like, they have money in their pocket, right? They're ready to get a deal. And if I coming in there and they're like, hey, what do you think about this deal? And they're sending me 5 deals. And I'm like, I don't like any 5 deals. I'm like all 5 of them.
Yeah.
What it does is it will put a potential bad taste in their mouth and they may go and buy something anyway. So the best time to get me involved is when you've got a deal that look, if you're smart and you want me to do the valuation and you're willing to be patient
yeah, that's hard, because people lean on me too. And I'm like, man, I just don't have the time for you to get 15 emails from a wholesaler and send them all over to me and tell you what your value is.
The really great investors as time goes on, they understand they don't want to make too many moves without their number one consultant, which is someone like me.
Yeah.
They just won't do it because they will call me. They say, hey, I got this deal. I'm looking at the numbers with them. And I'm like, hey, I like this. I like these comps. I like that, And so it's a collaborative sort of approach. And then they understand what they need to do. Of course, I go to the house. I'm like, hey, cool, do this, do that, do that. And then they have me at the end, and I would discount the commission for investors because they're repeat customers.
Right.
But at the end is when you're not, look, when you're 95% done, you got 20% more work.
Yeah.
It's inclusive of the agent. I think that's just a true statement.
Yeah.
Goes into the photos and the marketing and the videos. And like, you have to do all that stuff, the staging.
Yeah.
In order to make the presentation right, to get the highest number.
So what else is included on your fee? Are you doing the stagings or is that like I know you've done some stuff in the past, like, hey, you do it at 3%, I throw in the staging. And I don't want to put any words in your mouth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's, look.
So you're flexible and you've got the staging package available. Yeah.
6%. And I like the number and I feel comfortable with the end strategy, right? Like the ARV and what our plan is.
Yeah.
It's a collaboration. So if I don't think it's going to work, I'm out. Like I'm not going to, and I'm going to tell you I don't think it's going to work, right? But yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, everything is negotiable and we're in it to win it. Right?
You're now part of the team.
Investor to sell their property.
Yeah.
That investor to break records. I want that investor to look at this and go, holy crap. There is no one I want touching my properties at the end.
Yeah.
Especially because of this reason, who he has involved with them, his staging, his marketing, his online marketing, his presence, his video presence. Like, I want them to know, like, I want that dude and I will pay because I have him from beginning to end and I have him at my disposal all the time.
Yeah. That's how we feel as a lender too. Like we want to add some value to where you're like, this is just part of my team. It's another set of eyes. It can help me catch me from, like, hey man, they said this street is terrible to do a house on, and I'm going to believe them because they've done houses on this street. And, so we save money and it sounds like you're in the same way, like you're going to save money and then you're going to optimize based on what you bring to the table of their resale. Cause I've seen you do it. I've seen you stage it. I've seen your videography. It's all top notch, awesome stuff. And speaking of, your marketing, I know you if people don't recognize you, you've got a local following here as your podcast and stuff like that. So touch on that. Where can people find you at and jump on your social media and stuff like that? So share that with us.
My information is just my name. It's Jesse Rottinghaus, which is Rottinghaus. Despite how it sounds, Rottinghaus, German, I like to pronounce it Rottinghaus.
Oh, yes. This is the new market.
Yeah. But, I mean, all the socials I have, everything's channeled out at Jesse Rottinghaus. Pretty easy to find me on that. But, the podcast we have is called Impractical Brokers. And that's just something that another Compass agent and I jumped into. And we had fun with it. I mean, it was, for the cost that it costs us, the money that we spend per month to do it. We meet once a month. We batch like 3 to 4 episodes, and it's in an amazing studio, Hi Hello Labs downtown. And I don't know, it's just cool to talk to other professionals in our market. Capital Funding's been on there, and insurance companies have been on there.
That was so long ago. I keep hearing rumors I may come back, but I'm sitting by my inbox and nothing pops up. I'm just like a little disappointed.
We had a Bills player in there.
Oh yeah, who?
Who did we have? Actually, no, he wasn't a Bills player. He beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. And anyway,
had to bring it up, huh?
Brett Stokes was his name. He's
receiver, right?
No, he was on, I think, D-line.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something.
Okay.
I can't remember his position, but Brett Stokes, awesome.
Oh, Fred Stokes, yeah.
Yeah. But either way, like, it's just fun, man. It's a great way to create content, which everybody's supposed to do right now. And it's a meaningful way for both Shane, the agent, and I to be able to connect with other professionals in our market, other professionals in life. I mean, we had a life coach on, we had a anti-aging company on, a CEO. It's just great to be able to communicate with some of these people, and just it's a good time to get to know them, and talk about their businesses, just learn a little bit more,
Yeah, I think the cool thing, for us at Capital Fundings is, we're a local lender. We're not trying to be this national guy. And, we grew up here and we went to school here and we've renovated houses here and, we know here. And so that is cool where you're doing a podcast and you're sharing like, hey, this is our community with everybody. And, the people that want to tune in and listen and get our insight and our expertise and use that to their advantage, then I think it's going to be profitable to them and enjoyable in your case, maybe not as much on mine, but for your case, they're going to get some cool insights to just people in the community.
And maybe not, but you know what? It's our itch to be able to put out, some people will catch on to it or not, I don't know, but it's Impractical Brokers.
Well, I've had fun today and I had fun on your podcast and hopefully I get to do it again soon. What I'll have our videographer, who is the same person, maybe put up your contact information at the end of this, or maybe at the beginning even, because nobody's going to watch to the end. But but we'll get it out there. Impractical Brokers.
Few people that did watch, thank you. You can call me or text me best. Actually, don't call me. Text me only. 407-808-5670.
There you go. All right, Jess. I'll see you maybe on the golf course or on the phones tomorrow. All right. Thanks for chatting with us. All right.
Yep. Love it, man.
All right, brother. See ya.